Hi everybody, and welcome to Josiah is Right. I am a big fan of the 1980 Flash Gordon.
Hold on! Our trap play worked!
It is a thoroughly underrated fantasy adventure. I loved it when Mark Wahlberg sky-skied with Flash in Fred. I really love the ending of Blades of Glory when they do their final routine to the Queen song from the film. Hilarious, and I didn't love the movie, but that moment, great. It was colorful and fun. Post Star Wars and Alien, most sci-fi was really dark, very gloomy, and was all kinds of moody. Flash Gordon, the movie, was certainly not. It was just scary enough, or at least for me as a kid, scary enough that I could sort of pretend to be scared or act scared and feel a little bit tough. Perhaps best of all, it had an awesome soundtrack. My love of that version of Flash Gordon, the 1980 version, plus knowledge that George Lucas actually was inspired by it. He even tried to get the rights in the early 70s from Dilo De Laurentiis. He actually met him in New York and they talked about the potential of getting the rights. But that knowledge that thing that inspired George Lucas and something else that I liked, it actually made me go back and look into those old serials from the 40s. I went and found those as well. I was lucky enough at a local video store, they had a VHS copy that I could watch of probably 5 of them, maybe 6 or something. I don't remember how many had on each VHS, but I was able to discover sort of what was the original Flash Gordon, at least the original filmed Flash Gordon. The most interesting thing is, it's really, Star Wars is kind of sort of a knockoff of Flash Gordon, at least the inspiration. So that knockoff was what allowed the Dino De Laurentiis Flash Gordon that I love to get made. Heck, I even watched Defenders of the Earth, a cartoon filled with largely forgotten pulp heroes because it had Flash Gordon. At the time, I didn't even know who the other people were. All that said, I know it's a bad movie. Maybe at the time I didn't, or at least wouldn't admit it, but by the time I was in high school, I realized this is a bad movie. However, in high school, we went to the local Movies Plus, which for those of you in the area in Pennsylvania, it was near Ames on Route 8. We went to Movies Plus, found a VHS copy, and were able to show it to my friend's then 10-year-old little brother. And he loved it just as I had, purely just enjoying it as a good movie, not realizing it's not necessarily a good movie. It was just pure joy, though. The acting is wonderfully hammy, and I personally feel Sam Jones, while not the best actor in the world, comes off as immensely likable. Likability is what you need in Flash Gordon.
Oh my god.
One of my writing mentors, whom I studied under at USC, Coleman Huff, Coleman brought a curmudgeon of a man to class one evening. He was really old and seemed like he'd been around as long as movies had had sound, maybe even before that. His name was Lorenzo Semple Jr. He was a well of great stories. And I won't say he was mean, but he pulled no punches. About his past in Hollywood, his writing, and certainly not our writing. In class, we focused on a few of his movies from the 1970s. Specifically 3 Days with a Condor and The Parallax View. Also, both movies that heavily influenced Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Both gripping and powerful films, which could teach us a great deal as young writers. I, however, had less interest in those films, at least in the process of writing them, and had way more questions about the Batman TV show. Yes, the Adam West Show, a show Lorenzo essentially created. Most of my questions focused on Flash Gordon. Lorenzo had no love for comics. He really did not respect the medium and felt that any other media based on them should be silly because he saw them as silly. So anything that came after should be equally silly. And this was right around the time of The Dark Knight, so it was a very serious take on Batman that he didn't kind of get because he felt that it shouldn't be serious. I don't know if he actually liked the movie or not, but I guess he just felt Batman should be bright and poppy and pazzow and powy kind of thing and not, gravelly voiced Christian Bale. He felt taking a silly medium seriously was stupid. Hence, his approach to Flash Gordon was to be light, silly, maybe a little dumb, to make it a comic book, or how he saw comic books. I argued with him about comics, and the Batman movies in particular, but he didn't take them seriously, didn't feel they should be taken seriously. And while I think he was generally wrong, he was right about Flash Gordon, or at least mostly right about Flash Gordon. Enter Guardians of the Galaxy, a movie that showed a shift in tone. A balance of the serious and the silly. Everything I wanted in Flash Gordon. Everything I want a future adaptation of Flash Gordon to be. A little more than a year ago, a new Flash Gordon was still in development. Matthew Vaughn was even approached to direct. He's kind of been vaguely around a lot of comic book movies that he hasn't then directed, such as Thor, but he was approached to direct it. And the writer had this to say about the movie. I can't wait to get started. And if you're curious about the take, I'm not saying a word. All I'll say is this. It will be nothing like any version of Flash Gordon you've seen. Let's hope he's right, but not totally right. Take a little bit of Lorenzo Semple Jr.'s take a whole lot of Guardians of the Galaxy, heaping spoonfuls of Guardians of the Galaxy, and you have the tone that this movie requires and would be perfect. You want to make a Flash Gordon movie that is awesome that I would go see? I'd be willing to write it. But the idea here is the tone needs to be balanced. There's got to be a serious side and a lightness. It's touching on it just enough, just as Guardians did, to get the right overall tone. You can't take it too seriously, but you can't make fun of everything either. Then you get the Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. Anyway, I post a new video every Sunday and Thursday. Share your thoughts. What do you want to see in a new Flash Gordon? Do you want to see a new Flash Gordon? If you don't, you should at least check out the old one, experience that. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think. And remember, Josiah is right about the tone of Flash Gordon. I even argued the point. Well, not about Flash Gordon, but about comic books in general. So I stood up for our people. Have a good one.